This week's episode is sponsored by the Running Algorithm, your one-stop solution for running coaching. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, the podcast where we talk about triathlon. My name is Tim Ford, and I'm going to talk about triathlon with that guy right there, whose name is James Bale. Jimbo, mate, how you going?
Yeah, very well, mate. Very well. The week is progressing and it's podcast recording time, which is probably my favorite time of the week. How are you?
Mate, I'm honored to hear that. Thank you very much. I guess you're still riding the high of giving me some compliments at the end of our 100th episode last week. So it's
There you go. It's very hard to shake once I've started down that road.
you're just
It's
a
a
beacon of
compliment
positivity.
fest.
So I shouldn't be too surprised, I suppose. Like enthusiasm, positivity,
There you go.
exuberance, all
There
the
you go. You've been away, haven't you?
No, I've not. I was on site. So the company I
Ah,
work
yeah.
for, Mana, was part of the organizing team for the City Marathon last week or on the weekend, which was the first time it has been a major marathon. So I was on site a couple of days last week with the team, setting everything up, and
What
man,
did you have to do?
lots of manual labor. To be honest, it was kind of all hands on deck. So we took care of what you called like the look and feel of the event, so all the design, the branding, the consistency with the colors and all that stuff. So like putting the branded socks over the fences and the basically anything you saw that had any branding on it was done by us. So we did not set up the LED screens at the finish line, but
And you just
uh,
found you actually found yourself on site doing
put
that work.
put up my hand to volunteer, mate. I'm a team player, so.
There you
To be
go.
honest, the main reason I did it, I mean, no, I'm always going to help out, but I got an all access pass. So then on Sunday, I could go wherever I wanted, which was pretty handy. So I got to be right at the finish line when Kipchoge and Hassan and everybody else crossed and stuff. So that was pretty
Yeah, that's
epic.
pretty cool.
And then I had one of my friends who was racing, the guy that I ran with last year. And it's so funny because I know that Rob, his name's Rob. I've spoken about Rob a lot on this podcast, but I know Rob's a much better runner than me. And I was very grateful that he ran with me last year, but he kept going, "Oh, man, it was a really hard run." I'm like, "Fuck off, mate. Like, I know how much faster you are than me. Like, don't take the piss." He's like, "No, it was really hard, blah, blah, blah." So we went 254 together last year. He went 240, 241, I think. I'm like, yeah, 15 fucking minutes, mate. Like, you can say what you like. The results speak for themselves. But no, it was there's some really, really fast times out there. It's such a good venue for a race. A lot of people I think a lot of people don't realize how important the major thing is. And now
Mm,
that it's happened, like everybody I know has been like, Jesus Christ, you see the marathon in Sydney? It's like, yeah, yeah, it's a big deal, guys.
I'd love to
But
do it. Yeah.
man, you want to talk about an iconic race because it literally takes in all the sights of Sydney. You run across the Harbour Bridge, you run through the city, you go out Piedmont, past Darling Harbour, cut back through the city, up past, like Parliament and everything, Martin Place, and you go out into Centennial Park, past the stadiums, go down to Lady Macquarie's Chain, you finish the Opera House. Like, it has got to be one of the most scenic marathon courses out there, and it's hilly. Like it's not a flat course, and it's funny to see a lot of people being like, "Geez, I didn't realize how hilly this marathon was." It's got some climbs in it, but I was really I got massive FOMO not running it on Sunday.
I
So I'm
bet.
gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna put an entry in next year and do it again. And I see a lot more marathons in my future. Actually, I just loved it so much last year. So I think I'm gonna do a few more in the next couple of years. So that'll be
There's a
good.
rumor going around, mate. There's a rumor going around that you got a spot in London.
It might be still a rumor at this point, but yeah, it's looking. The chances are looking pretty good. So you may see me on the start list of London. The only thing is the timing. I just need to go double check the timing. But yeah, if I can do that, I will be there with bells on.
Nice, because I had FOMO this year when I was in London watching the event, and yeah, it's just my favorite race in the world. I love it so much. I cannot wait to race it next year, and it'd be great if
It's
you came along and joined in as well.
it's crazy to see what's happening with running at the moment, isn't it? Like it's so good, probably because we're runners, but just to see the way it's booming. And I was at the Opera House foreshore, 3 days last week, and there's just the people and the accents and the voices, and there are people from all over the world come in, and it just it's like it actually gave me like real like triathlon vibes a bit, like that race feeling. Just I've never really seen that with a, I've been to a number of marathons and I've never really experienced it quite like this. And it's I think it is just because it's a major. Like, so many people want to do the, tick them all off. And I'll tell you again, I apologize to people that heard the name of the podcast Talking Triathlon and now listening to us about talking running. But this was a detail that I loved so much. So in 2000, Sydney hosted the Olympics and the marathon. It actually started at the same place as the Sydney Marathon, different course but similar. But in 2000, they put this blue, like the white lines on the roads. They put this blue line on the road that was basically the marathon course, and
The racing line, yeah.
yeah, the racing line. And it was there. There's still parts of Sydney where that line still exists. And I've always had this grand plan of like one day I'd love to go and run the original marathon course as closely as possible. Obviously, I'm not going to run along the major motorway that it went on for a bit. But I was talking to my boss Trent about it, and he said, it's funny you say that because the branding for Sydney Marathon, everything is blue, like it's blue, blue, blue. And he said they found a patch of road that still had the race line on it, and they matched the color patone or whatever you call it. They matched the color, and that's the core color for the Sydney Marathon is based on that race line from the Olympics. And I thought that was such a cool like piece of attention to detail that they've gone and based their entire brand around what I think is quite a historical part of Sydney from the Olympics. Yeah, so I just heard that. I was like, that really
That's cool. That
tickled me
Sydney
pink a little
Olympics
bit.
lives in
Yeah.
my memory as one of my favorite watches when I was a kid.
The greatest ever fact. That's what old Juan Antonio Samaranch said, didn't he? The greatest Olympics ever. I think London gave it a. I think London's a close second. London was pretty good.
I think
Not.
London was the greatest Olympics ever myself, but
I don't
one
think
of my
Jan said that
happiest
though.
childhood memories was watching that triathlon in bed in Sydney. Being very proud of the fact that the sport I currently did at that point was suddenly an Olympic sport.
It's funny because the 2012 Olympics was the first time I watched triathlon. I mean, I probably watched it, but like that was when I was a triathlete for the first time. So watching it at the Olympics was also a really cool moment. Watching Alistair Brownlee do what he did was, anyway, I get into philosophical. If you want to reminisce with us about these sort of things, we'll probably do a bit of that. We have to do a bonus podcast actually pretty soon, mate. So maybe in the next couple of days. That's where we'll do it. We are going to answer even more of the questions that we didn't get to last week. And there's been more that have come in since. So that's what we'll do on the bonus episode this month. But if you want to contribute, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. $5 a month gets you the WhatsApp group, gets you the bonus show, gets you the tipping competition, which I got no points on a technicality with Zell Am See. But all that stuff supports the show, keeps us motivated to keep doing it for 100 more. Yeah, patreon.com/talking triathlon. Jimbo, mate,
Yeah, see the what
where
competition?
the what?
Did you say tipping competition?
Yeah, the tipping comp. Fantasy League. Sorry.
Oh, Fantasy League, yeah.
We
Ah.
call that a tipping comp here. Sorry. Fantasy
Oh,
League.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, you didn't do very well, did you?
I did well in the T100 and then Zell Am See. Somebody I picked mustn't have started because I got 0 points. So
So if one person on your list doesn't start, you get 0 points.
you have to have a full start list.
Ooh,
Otherwise,
oh, that
yeah,
sucks.
I know because I,
Because
I know I
somebody could
picked.
just drop out last minute.
Yeah, I don't follow it that closely either. Um, but yeah, I did pretty well in the women the 200, but I don't anyway. Wait, should we get struck?
I think we should start with more non-triathlon chat and
Okay,
have a
what are we
chat
going
about
with?
how the UTMB unfolded.
Let's do it. UTMB happened, and I will link it back to triathlon a little bit, mate, because
No, absolutely.
Tom Evans, who won the men's race at UTMB, is actually married to Sophie Caldwell, the British triathlete herself.
Indeed. And that's probably the only reason we're talking about it on a Talking Triathlon podcast. So yeah, Tom Evans, who is married to Sophie Caldwell, took the men's win. Um, he has had two DNFs in the last 2 years, and then he's taken the victory. Which, in his own words, he said, I've had two DNFs in the last 2 years, and then to take the victory today, hoping it proves to everyone that if you put your mind to it, then anything is achievable. I mean, well done to him, but I'm not sure I believe anything's achievable if you put your mind to it, but good on him.
I would like. I know a lot about this race, mostly through osmosis, other people talking about it. It's not something that I've ever
On the
sat
women's side,
down.
it was New Zealand's Ruth Croft who
Okay.
won the race in 22 hours, 56:23.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is I don't understand why anybody would want to do this. It is too far. It is too long. It does not sound like a good time to me whatsoever. But one thing that I heard repeatedly last week was that the broadcast they do with this is very, very, very good. And it
Mm.
is ironic because it is owned by the same company that owns Iron Man. So what's going on there?
Well, I mean, UTMB has always done, well, I say always. In recent years, they put out a high quality broadcast, and that was true before Iron Man bought them. So Iron Man have stepped into something that is very well marketed, very well supported, and very well broadcast, and just gone, awesome, we own this now. So yeah, and I mean it's a very difficult race to get into. So for sitting here, someone like me or someone like you saying, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do UTMB," it's like,
Or
okay,
Jan
cool, you'd
Frodeno?
love to do it, but good luck collecting those stones, doing a Jan Frodeno,
Yep.
and uh, and actually getting yourself on the ballot. And then once you're on the ballot, you gotta hope you get a spot. It's a difficult race to get into, but it would be a stunning race to go and do. I would love to do it one day. Right now, it's right down on my list of priorities because feeling well again, I think staggering around mountains quite slowly is not really up there for me right now. But yeah, what a place! And it was a stormy, stormy weekend. Courtney Dauwalter, who was the pre-race favorite on the women's front, didn't. She finished, but she didn't get the victory that everyone was expecting, and instead it was New Zealand's Croft on the women's side who won it, and Tom Evans who took the men's. So very cool to see.
What sort of gaps are we talking? Like, what are the gaps between first and second and things? Do you have access to that information? Like, I want to know how close the
Yeah,
racing
I
is.
probably do. Let me uh, let me have a little scroll down here. I mean, so men's results. Tom Evans won it in 1918-58, and then Ben Dierman was second in 1951-37. So 18 minutes and 51 minutes.
That's that's the same margin sometimes in an Ironman, and this is like diabolical distance. So,
I mean, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, yes, I just think historically it would be the same margin in an Ironman. I think nowadays, for example, this weekend in Zell Am See, Andrew Horsfall Turner came 20th and he was 16 minutes back.
mm,
You know,
yeah.
this is what, half an hour between first and second. They're quite substantial time differences, but it is a quite a substantial distance. So it's it's almost like watching a test match. I think if you were going to indulge in this kind of thing, you're not there looking for that sprint finish. You're watching the race play out over many many hours and watching that tension build as athletes take on something which is really quite an astounding feat of human endeavor. On the women's side, it was Ruth Croft in first in 22:56:23, and the second place was 23:28:48. So a very similar-ish time distance difference between the men's and the women's.
So, what are the lessons then for triathlon from this? Because, we're talking about a 20-hour race, 20-hour broadcast. I've heard repeatedly from many people that the broadcast is very good. So, how is it that this race that is 20 hours, that is really not so much about the actual race, it's more about the execution or, as you said, that, delivery. What are the lessons that then triathlon could learn? Because our races are considered long, even though they're, 7 and a bit hours now. What is it? What is it? What are people watching this for? Because it ultimately, I guess, is just footage of a person running through the forest or the mountains. So what do you think is it? What is the difference? Why does this work so much better than what's happening in Tri at the moment?
I mean, you've got to understand that I think we've got to take into account that you're not having to manage broadcasting three sports.
Okay.
So you're not out on a motorcycle chasing bikers around. You have yes, the UTMB is in a difficult location because it's a mountain location, so it's not easy to broadcast. I mean, I'm no expert in broadcast sport, but it is on the same course every year, so you probably get used to how to broadcast that location. And plus, with the aforementioned time gaps, you haven't got a huge amount of changing athletes to follow. And then you've got stunning scenery to back it all up and a quality commentary team that can talk around the race as well, rather than just focus on cadence. Why is my laptop not charging?
Um, yeah, okay. I think that again, I just hope maybe that there's some lessons that they can learn and go from there. But look, that's Ultra Trail Mont Blanc chat. Ultra Trail Mont Blanc by Ultra Trail Mont Blanc done for this year. We can
Yeah,
get
and I
back.
mean, for me, the most surprising thing to see on the women's side was that Courtney Dauwalter finished 10th, 25, 50, 38. So, over 2 hours down on the women's winner.
Well, this is going to be a long bow to draw for a segue, but one of Sophie Caldwell's very good friends, who is obviously married, Sophie Caldwell married to Tom Evans, who just won UTMB. One of her very good friends, Georgia Taylor Brown, has come out saying, James, that she is all in on trying to win the gold in LA 2028. She was interviewed
Interesting.
by Try 24/7 and basically she said, she wants to go there. She really wants to try to get to LA. But if she goes, she doesn't want to just participate. She wants to try to win the thing. So I mean, yeah. What's your reaction to that, mate?
I mean, she's one of the most rounded athletes on the women's side of the sport at the moment. Um, Without question, that gold medal is a possibility for her future. She's more than capable of doing it. And if she hunkers down and focuses solely on that, then yeah. Obviously, Cassandre Beaugrand had her moment in Paris, and it was an incredible moment to see. She's carried some consistency forward, as we will see later in this episode. She's riding a rich vein of form right now. But Georgia Taylor Brown is absolutely one of the most impressive athletes we've ever seen in the women's side of the sport. So more than capable of doing it.
I agree. I am a little disappointed though because again, Tim always wants to see the short course people step up to long distance,
I want to
and
see short people race longest.
I've realized that's why I want Tyler Mizachuk to go long so bad. Um, no, I think I've sort of assumed seeing her race in more T100 events this year, 70.3 and last year, and sort of taking this gap year, focusing more on cycling. I thought we were going to see her transition away from short course, which I was personally very excited for because I think that she represents that what I see as the ideal. I mean, she's ideal at every distance. That's not to say that she's not ideal at short course, but she's very, she's capable of front pack swimming as we saw in on the weekend. She's front, can be off the front or thereabouts rider, and she's also a very, very strong runner. And I thought that that would all lend itself very, very well to potentially Ironman. But I also understand that there doesn't seem to always be as big a crossover or step up in distance across the women's fields as there is, particularly from short course in the men's races. Like, and I've spoken a fair bit about this over previous podcasts, but you just need to look at the middle distance women's fields compared to the Ironman distance fields at the moment. And the middle distance women's fields are so strong. And then not to say the Ironman distance is an exception to this, not as deep. They've got some super talent, but there's certainly not as much depth as there is at middle distance. I think that Georgia absolutely has a shot at the gold. I think she'll have a hard time knocking off somebody like Georgia or some of these new people, Georgia Cass or an Emma Lombardi. Emma Lombardi, who is what, 24 years old and is, just off the pace. I think, give her a couple more
Another rich
years.
vein of form right now, eh?
Yeah. And, you think Emma Lombardi came back from, she's been injured. So to come back and being so close to the front of races, I mean, there's so many athletes. I still think Cass is probably, what are we, 4 years, 3 years out at the moment, probably going to go into it as the favorite unless, I don't know, she decides she's had enough of it. But I love to see the challenge. I'm kind of torn, right? I'm excited to see it, but then I'm also a little bit disappointed that we're not going to go and get to see her. Imagine dropping her imagine a fully conditioned Georgia Taylor Brown to long distance race and we drop her in a Kona against the likes of Laura Phillip and Lucy Charles and Taylor Nibb and those athletes. I think it could be so good. But
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in reality, the fact we're having this conversation just shows how the depth of talent on the women's side at the moment, short course and middle distance. And
all distances, I think.
yeah, just watching her go for it. I would rather live in a world where Georgia Taylor Brown is focusing on LA and trying to get that gold medal when that race comes around than
Mm.
not.
Yeah, I know what
So,
you mean.
having her there in the mix so that people like us can discuss who's going to win and who isn't going to win when we get nearer the time is brilliant.
Yeah. No, I'm also very happy because she has taken a sort of gap here, and I know that she wasn't necessarily sure of what her future was at the start of this year, or when she sort of told sponsors, she sent an email to all of us basically. And so to see her laser focus back on try, I think is a very, very good thing. Because she makes the sport better. And I'm a
Yeah,
huge
yeah,
Georgia
and
Taylor Brown fan.
she's not a pro cyclist all of a sudden,
Yeah, exactly.
which was an almost thing, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't understand what happened there, but I know that her and Maya went to the camp and then Maya's now got the contract. So I think maybe Georgia just went, no, it's not quite what I was after. I think, and I think she's been
Maya's
quite
doing all
public
right
about
though, isn't
this.
she?
Fucking dear mate. Um, there's a fair bit of frustration, I think, about the way the races are raced these days. And that's also probably why I could see her going quite well at non-draft in Georgia because she is so strong on the bike that she could, you know, rip the legs off them. But who knows? Maybe she'll dabble. We've still got a long time. I think Olympic qualifications don't start for another year. So I've made that up. It could be next week for all I know. I said that with such confidence. Should we start to talk about some of the races that happened over the weekend?
I think we
Because
should, yeah.
there was a few. Do you want to go short or long, or do we go
Let's
chronologically?
start with T100, shall we?
Let's start with T100. Let's start with T100 women's race because we're already talking about the women.
Yeah, so we didn't have Taylor Nibb.
Nope.
We didn't have Lucy Charles. We didn't have whose name is escaping me.
Kate Woff.
Yeah, we didn't have Kate Woff. Yeah, and so we going into this, me and you predicted that perhaps it was going to be Jess Learmont's time, perhaps it was going to be Georgia Taylor Brown's time to step up because going on recent form. I know Georgia Taylor Brown hasn't had the easiest entry into the T100 world, but she's, as we just mentioned, one of the best female athletes out there. So expecting her to roll on through and find her form, but it was Jess and Georgia Taylor Brown that led the way out of the swim with Stifford on the bike coming through strong, but Ashleigh Gentle, mate, came out of nowhere, in my opinion, and took the win on the run with Paula Finley coming a close second behind India Lee, who made up a lot of spaces, a lot of places on that run, with Georgia Taylor Brown dropping down the order and Jess Learmont pulling out of the race entirely.
Yeah, it was an interesting race to watch. Now, this is the first time we've seen a T100 race that did a one lap bike course compared to the usually multi-lapped one. And I think it was probably just towards the end of the first lap of the swim, Jess and Georgia had gapped the rest of the field. And then the second lap, there was another athlete who got ahead of them. Who was that? Basically, three of them got out of the water together. But I thought at that point, oh, Jess and Georgia are going to ride away from everybody here, and I think could be lights out. Because again, we've seen what Jess did in that Singapore race where she was working with Kate Woff. I consider Georgia to be as good a, if not better, cyclist than Kate Woff. So I thought those two would work quite well together. And then, yeah, neck minute, Alana Siffert just pops up out of nowhere and not only rides past them, but puts a really decent chunk of time into them. And watching them get off the bike and seeing the gap back to Gentle, and I mean, it became apparent very quickly that Jess basically went backwards instantly. That
Yeah,
calf niggle, I guess, is still there. Um,
really unfortunate to see that.
yeah,
She's obviously
I
still battling that. I thought she'd cleared that. She'd done such an upward trajectory since we saw her first inclusion in the T100. I thought the calf thing was behind her, but if it's still there, then she's obviously still managing some discomfort.
It's funny though, because I thought pretty quickly, I thought Ash would probably get up there. I thought Georgia would win, just because it's again Georgia, and again I have a bit of a bias towards the short course people. But again, I'd seen it; she'd been doing quite well at Super Try, and I just expect, she won that debut 70.3 last year. She had the disaster in London, but I thought, okay, Georgia's got this. So for me, after result, I think once it became apparent how quickly Ash was running compared to everyone else, I was like, yeah, Ash is going to win this one. I think the gap was never big enough that it probably, again, in hindsight, it's easy to say, but the gap wasn't significant enough that Ash Gentle couldn't run that down. And without the likes of Julie Darren, etc., there,
Mm.
or, when Lucy's running the way she ran in London and stuff, I think it was a bit of a,
Yeah,
I
and you
guess,
didn't have that group of strong bikers at the front to make that gap to negate Ash's incredible run come the end of the race. She ran a 104.51,
yeah.
which was head and shoulders above everything anyone else put out that
It
day.
really,
For example, Paula Finley ran a 106.26
which
with
was
India
second
Lee
fastest,
running
I
a
think.
one. Hey,
I think that's the second. Yeah, I think that's the second fastest.
it's the fastest in the top 10 by a considerable margin, though.
No, no, sorry, I think that Paula was the second fastest runner, is what I was saying. Ash Gentle
Oh, sorry.
definitely, Ash Gentle
Yeah,
100%
yeah.
fastest runner. And then
Yeah, I
it's,
was like, second fastest to who?
no, no,
Who?
sorry, I was talking about Paula.
Yeah, Paula
India
ran a
Lee as well, though.
106.26 and India Lee ran a 106.56 to make up those spaces come the end. Everyone else was in the 108s or 107s, and then Georgia Taylor Brown won a 111.36 with Stifford running a 115.23, obviously suffering after that bike she put in.
I'm going to name and shame myself a little bit here, Jimbo, because I'm assuming that you're also looking at the stats or the results page on the T100 website at the moment to get the splits. Is that what you're using?
No.
Okay, well, I am. And I was like I was like, okay, so there's 106. I was manually going through the list trying to see if there's anyone on the T100 website. There's a little bracket next to the time. It shows what order or what rank their split was.
Oh
So
yeah, the T100 website's really useful for that.
I spent like a good minute trying to see if anybody was faster than Paula Finlay. It was like number two in brackets. And I made this big, like, declarative statement, like, I think I'm right. Yeah, well done, Tim. You stupid
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
idiot.
But I
Uh,
mean, Paula Finley having a Paula Finley day, when she's on and she's there, she's a guaranteed podium almost every time. It's just sometimes she's not. Um, India Lee making her way up the standings to round off that podium. Unexpected, if I'm honest. Not because it's India, but just because where she was in that race. I wasn't expecting to see her climb up the standings quite like she did come the run.
There was lots of there's a lot of unexpected things for me. Like, I'm not that surprised about Ash. I look at the splits here, and I was a bit surprised by Paula's swim, because she was a minute 14 back from Ash in the swim, but she only lost to Ash in the end by 50 seconds. If her swim had have been just a bit better, I mean a bit better, nearly a minute better, or probably I would have expected her to probably be closer to Ash. Man, we would have had one hell of a race, because Paula rode significantly faster than Ash, and then Ash ran significantly faster. So we could have had this scenario where Paula actually got off the bike ahead of Ash. And then you got Ash just running her down, running her down, running her down. That could have been really exciting. But Ellie Salthouse, I was really surprised, because I've been also surprised, but I've expected to see Ellie doing better this year. So to see her make was it number fifth? Great. Lucy Byram is
Yeah,
another athlete that
really
I
good.
think
I mean,
so
Ellie's
highly
coming
of.
back from that knee surgery. I mean, that's a long road getting
Yeah.
back, not only in terms of rehab, but getting your pointy end of fitness back after a break like that and having to have some medical interventions is never easy. So seeing her round it off with a fifth place, you know what it is, in my opinion, that led to Ellie finally getting over that injury and coming back to some form like this.
Tell me, you saw her in London.
No, she spent a week and a half in Lyon before the race and missioning around some mild haunts.
That's it, mate. There we go. Ellie Salthouse, can you please confirm
I
or
gave her
deny
gave her
that
some
this is true?
advice on where to go and what to look at while she was there.
Other surprises, I was surprised to see Georgia drop so quickly through the run field. I thought she'd at least hold on for a podium. So, what did she run? She ran a 111, so 15th fastest run. So definitely not there in the run. Uh, Hannah Berry really impressed me as well. Very, very well-rounded athlete. Well, she's sixth fastest swim, third fastest bike, ninth fastest run for sixth place. I think it's really good for Hannah, who I've always considered more of an Ironman athlete. So to see her doing quite well at the T100 distance is really good. Uh, yeah, I mean, the big pick with our picks, or our fantasy league, I had Marta Sanchez, and she was sort of well off the pace in the end, which is probably what cost me a lot of points. But then there's a number of names that I'm actually not that familiar with. But overall, I thought the women's race was quite good. I found it a lot more
Yeah,
entertaining than the men's race, just
yeah.
because things actually sort of
A
happened.
different
But
different kind of entertaining. I'll always argue the point that a domination is its own category of enjoyable.
you're allowed to argue that. Let's then turn our attention to said men's
Let's
race.
not. Let's not. Let's just quickly summarize the standings on the women's
Okay,
side after following
let's
this
do that
race.
then.
Julie Derren is still leading with 96 point. Kate Woff in second with 90. Nib in third with 90. But Ashleigh Gentle has catapulted herself up the standings to fourth place with 89, with just ahead of Lucy Charles-Barclay with 84.
Cool. And how many
There you go.
races left?
We've got
Four?
what was Valencia that I'm still calling Valencia, and then there's the grand final, isn't there?
Wollongong, and then there's
Wollongong. Yeah, I
Dubai
forgot about Wollongong. Yeah,
and Dubai and Qatar.
Dubai.
So four. Four?
Yeah. So four races left.
Okay. And athletes only have to do four races, right? It's their top four scores that count.
I think so.
Okay. So you expect Lucy to probably get a few more better results, I guess. I don't know. I love the season-long narrative. The running algorithm is a brand new tool that gives you a training plan for everything from 5 kilometers to marathon. You know that your schedule can change, and if you have to skip a session or just end up running with a friend and doing some extra, the running algorithm will adapt and adjust your plan to keep you consistent. Head to therunningalgorithm.com and use the code TALKINTRIATHLON, all capitals, and you can use the running algorithm for free while they add lots of exciting new features over the next 3 months before you decide if you want to go on and pay later. Men's race.
Yeah, I mean, the most surprising thing about the men's race early on was how close Hayden was in the swim.
Yeah, it
Only,
was.
yeah, only 8 seconds back coming out of T1. I know that he was probably about 10 to 12 seconds back actually getting out of the swim, but a swift transition saw him. And he put that down to not having to wear a swim skin, I think, because he didn't wear a swim skin, so he didn't have to take off a swim skin, making his transition faster, which surprised me a little bit because I'd have thought if he was the one athlete not wearing a swim skin, he would have had a significantly slower swim than everyone else, but he was there or thereabouts. Um, Sam Long again, 4.5 minutes back. But it was basically Bogan and Wilde pushing ahead on the bike on the main climb, putting 45 seconds into everybody, and then Wilde kind of managing that gap on the run. He was 50 seconds ahead of Jelle Geens at 9K into the run, 22 seconds ahead of Geens on the at the end of the run. I think he'd probably started to ease off a bit towards the end, considering the fact that he was going for the double, but a very comprehensive win by Hayden Wilde.
I made the call the second he got off the bike with the gap to Yellow Gains not being that big. I said Yellow Gains wins this thing, and I was wrong. Uh, yeah, this was a very, good performance, I suppose. Not necessarily the best in terms of viewing experiences, but um, Sam Dickinson debut, finishing third, I thought was great to see. I've yeah, I expected him to, I think I might have had him in my fantasy draft actually. Yellow Gaines, I actually thought might catch. There was a moment towards the end of that race where I thought Yellow Gaines might run him down. It was looking pretty, he was really digging deep, and Hayden seemed to be sort of just jogging it in basically. And I think he must have got the signal because he picked it up and it became a bit of an not possible. But I thought on the bike there was a point where that climb started. I expected Yellow Gaines would probably stick with them, not lose as much time to those guys, just because he's so much smaller. And you traditionally expect that, and Yellow Gaines also is not a bad cyclist. So decent cyclist, much smaller. You'd expect him to sort of do quite well on the climb. But yeah, that's where he lost the time to those guys. And I don't think there was much of a change on the descent. But um, yeah, Morgan Pearson obviously has a lot of work to do on his bike because he was fastest swimmer, fastest runner, and he finished sixth. He was 12th fastest bike, so he was miles off. Decided to keep the shoes on the bike this time, I think. Didn't try to run with the shoes on and fall over like he did at Super Try the other day. Any other interesting performances or things that stood out to you, mate?
Not really.
Sam
I mean,
Long?
Sam Dickinson rounding off the podium, good for him. Um, Bogan falling down to fifth on the run. I love the way Rico races. I've said that before. I've said it many times. I'm probably sounding a bit repetitive, but he's had his result. He's had a win, but he's still putting it out there. He's still finishing top five. He doesn't disappear down the standings after having a strong bike. He manages that decline on the run, and another day will come where he takes another victory, I'm sure, and learns how to manage his effort a bit better than he currently does. But Hayden's post-race reaction, he said today was always going to be a super calculated day, but I took some risks out there. I was the only one on the start line who didn't wear a swim skin, and it paid off super well. Coming out about 10th out of the water, I didn't have to take the swim skin off and straight out into the transition into fourth, which is perfect. From there, the boys really took control, and I didn't want to see the front of the race until I got to the climb, and that is where I was going to make my move. Put my head down and just pushed hard for 15 minutes. I got to the top of the climb and saw that Rico was there. We just looked at each other and I was like, all right, let's do it. So yeah, that's pretty much how it played out.
Yeah. Other little things to note. You saw Leo Berger overcook one of the corners. It looked like he might come asunder. Did you see that during the race?
I didn't actually know.
Yeah, so he
Oh yeah, I
came one
did.
of
Sorry. Yeah, of courthe. Course I did. He almost hit the barrier, didn't he?
Mm,
One of those moments where if he'd hit that barrier at speed, he may have flipped over it as well.
and I think it was quite a way down on the other side of
Yeah,
that barrier as
yeah.
well.
You don't want to be fucking with those barriers in that part of the world.
They've got them on the Nice course, which obviously is next weekend, and there's a point probably I mean, it's the second descent before the big descent, and it's beautiful. It's the James Bond area, with the overcrop rocks that you drive through. But it's a huge drop off the edge, and they've just got like a 70 centimeter high brick wall. And I remember Ryan being like, "Fuck!" Imagine. I bet there's been somebody at some point that's not been paying attention, overcooked the corner, gone straight into that, and just gone goodbye, all over Red Rover. So
Yeah.
yeah, you don't mess with those barriers. Um, Yeah, I think Hayden saying it was calculated was exactly what it was. It was just it was a very Christian Blumenfeld performance, I think, in the sense that he just, or like Magnus Ditlevi style sort of, no, not Christian,
Yeah. I
more,
see much less Christian Blumenfeld
yeah,
than yeah, Ditlev.
yeah, sorry, that's what I meant to say, more Ditlevi, that very much like, I'm just going to do my things and what happens, happens. And, when Jelle was coming for him at the end and like how easily Hayden seemed to react, I'm like, he's not even, he's breathing through his nose at this point. So, he was signaling to the crowd. It's as I've just said, it's such an impressive comeback to consider where he came from, uh, you know, 3 months ago to back to this. I think he's going to be hard to beat now for the T100 series. I think there was a point last week where if Jelle got it, he might have been unbeatable. Sorry, Jelle Gaines. I think Hayden might have this one in the bag. Anyone else? Anything else that was of note for you? Kyle Smith had it mechanicals. Sam Long, that's what I was saying before. Sam Long. So obviously Sam Long is there preparing for Nice in a couple of weeks. What did you think of Sam Long's performance?
Where did he finish?
15th.
Yeah, I didn't really think of Sam Long's performance, to be honest. 4.5 minutes down on the swim, finishes 15th, barely noticeable.
Doesn't even ride, like not even a factor on it was 13th fastest bike. His run was okay, fifth fastest run, but still, quite far off the pace. Yeah,
I
I'm
mean, if
not
you're 4.5 minutes down on the swim and then you're riding poorly and then having the fifth fastest run, you're still not an impact on the race, eh?
I don't yeah, this does not bode well for Nice, I think, for Sam,
No,
because maybe the saving grace he'll have in Nice is he might come out of the water with someone like Joe, and then they can try to do some work together. But yeah,
I don't see
uh,
it. I don't see it.
Harry Palmer I expected to do better, but his run was obviously off. He had one of the slowest bikes and then one of the slowest runs. So in fact, he was 18th fastest swim, 18th fastest bike, 15th fastest run. So I think he was just having an off day. Uh, yeah, that was the men's race. Overall thoughts, James. T100 French Riviera. What did you think about the actual race?
Yeah, men's standings currently after
Oh
this
yeah.
race, Yellow still leads in with 119 points, Wilde in second with 105, Bogan in third with 93, ahead of Mika Newt in fourth with 93 as well, but obviously Bogan's ahead of him for results reasons. And then Van Riel in fifth with 73. It'd be good to see Martin get back to racing soon at some point when he's got that ankle better and
He's
spent some time.
he announced he's racing Nice. He'll be on the start list in Nice.
Oh, well, yeah, good news.
Yeah,
Good news.
yeah.
Overall, yeah, I mean, I love that part of the world, as you well know.
Hmm.
I love the coast, and I think it's beautiful. I think overall, yeah, it was a solid execution of a T100 race. Run course was a little bland, but you can't have everything, can you? Good Lord, one thing we've learned in triathlon, mate, is you can't have everything. Sometimes you can barely have anything, let alone everything.
I I think the swim, the location, I really like the bike course. I think the way they broadcast the bike course was very good. The run course looked atrocious. Like it literally just looked like they were running around a school oval or football field or something, and it was just brown and just witches' hats. But I think that again, their broadcast is very, very good standard. I think they did a good job of balancing out both the men's and women's races, considering how close they started this time. They were minutes between them, not like a big chunk of time like I think there was in London. Uh, yeah, I did feel like it looked like a big downgrade from some of the other races we've seen though. This one did feel a lot more like a Ironman race or something. And I don't mean to say Ironman race like a criticism, but it kind of is right. Like just that shot of them running with the witches' hats. I thought, wow, this isn't probably what I expected from a sport trying to be broadcastable. But I think that they had
Yeah,
Emma.
I'm not a fan of the cones.
Yeah,
Not a fan of the cones.
Emma Frodeno in commentary was really good. I thought Emma with Vicky Holland. I assumed that Jan was out because he was doing the UTMB, and then I remembered he couldn't. So uh,
The internet stopped him, mate.
the
The
internet
comments
stopped him.
section raged against him.
But yeah, T100, it presses on. The next one is in a couple of weeks somewhere in Spain. I don't know where, but we'll see. But again, I thought
Near Valencia.
it's funny because, and we're going to transition now to talk about WTCS, and we might as well just stay on the broadcast thing a little bit. But it's funny that watching the T100 race the day before and then watching WTCS the next day, how much better I thought the course was or looked for the WTCS race than it did for the T100. Um, and I think it was obviously they did a lot of the bike riding in town, but even all they seemed to do was they did that bit of the run, then it just did laps of this field basically. And yes, it still had the cones, but from an actual race dynamic, I thought it was fucking awesome. I thought it was such a cool way to see the entire field at all times and have a really good understanding of where everybody was. I know they do lap courses often in short course, but to actually be able to see the field, the way the camera angles will work. I mean, the camera work on the bike in the WTCS was terrible, but on the run, uh, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I thought what they did was good is they brought the commentary team from T100 across to do WTCS and they added Vincent Louis in. And man, it was very, very, I've enjoyed all the WTCS races I've watched this year. I'm really surprised how a couple of years ago I thought it was the worst broadcast sport, triathlon events around. I think they're doing such a good job with their broadcast, and the racing has been very, very good. Any thoughts of the broadcast before we talk about the racing?
No, I mean, I echo those thoughts. I think, yeah, I think it wasn't long ago that both of us were constantly and consistently slamming the WTCS broadcast, and it is definitely up to a standard now where that wouldn't be fair, or yeah, it just wouldn't be right.
So, what do you think? Let's talk about it. Do you want to start with let's start with the men's race because we finished with the men's
Okay,
race, and we obviously have to talk about or two certain guys that did back-to-back races. In the men's race, there's a lot to discuss because there was the Alexia versus Hayden Wilde return. There was Morgan Pearce and Hayden Wilde both doing the back-to-back races. There was, Hauser potentially trying to maintain his lead. Like lots of different things happening in this race. What did you think of it?
yeah, I think it's brilliant. I mean, being that I called Matt Hauser for the win, I'm very happy.
I think we both had him for the win, to be honest,
Yeah, but
which was
I
good.
called him first, and you just copied me
I mean,
because
that's all I do, to be honest.
yeah.
So that's like my
Um,
move.
Yeah, I think obviously with Hayden coming in to do the double, Morgan Pearson as well, but Hayden being the one that everybody was saying, right, he's coming into this off the back of the T100. Is he just going to show complete dominance in both forms of racing with the T100 victory and then rolling into the WTCS and dominating that? I think both of us said that would be incredibly unlikely. Um, for Matt Hauser, having had the season he's had so far, with Hayden and Alex not really focusing on the WTCS quite as much as they have done in the past, there's been that thought in the back of your head that maybe Hauser's just having his year because those two aren't there. But for him to come into this race, have the race he did with both Alex Yee and Hayden Wilde on the start list, and to get this victory in the manner that he did, it kind of underlines his class and quality this year, and really validates the season he's having. And I think it's a well-deserved validation.
I mean, the fact that he ran the fastest run split of the day, he was 5 seconds faster, sorry, 3 seconds faster than Alex Yee. Uh, Hayden was, 30 seconds off the pace basically on the run. I was just happy to see Hayden's human. Like, honestly, I was like, oh, thank fuck.
Yeah,
Because Jesus. But yeah, we talk about Hayden being quite, sort of calculated. I felt like Matt was a little bit like this. It just looked like sort of like what I've said in the past with Yee and Hayden, where if Hayden and Alex are together, I think Alex will always win because there's nothing that Hayden Wild can do to beat Alex on the run. And I probably feel a little bit the same with Vasco and Matt, where Matt sort of just was there and then at the end just pushed and Vasco couldn't react. So yeah, I think he's going to have perfect points going into the grand final. He's 3 wins, 3,000 points, going to home grand final, very motivated to win it there. It's really good for him. Um, there was obviously a crash. Tyler got taken out in the pack and DNF'd, which was unfortunate.
yeah. How is
Uh,
he? I saw his
he's he,
scrapes.
he's a bit beaten up, and then his travel home became an absolute disaster. His flight got cancelled. He had to spend the night in Toronto, which wasn't ideal. But yeah, it's good to see those three guys, Matt Hauser, Vasco Velasquez, and Miguel Hidalgo, sort of always up there or thereabouts in every race they did.
Yeah,
And
top three in this race. Matthew Hauser ahead of Oscar Velasquez, ahead of Miguel Hidalgo, ahead of Dorian Connix. Great to see Dorian Connix racing and getting strong results as well.
did you see Charles Piquet, what he did?
What
He
did he
was
do?
going to cross the finish line in sixth place and started high-fiving the crowds. And then Alberto Gonzalez Garcia pipped him at the
Oh, I
line.
did see. Yeah, I did see this. I saw somebody dropped it in the.
Come on, mate. Don't do that.
I thought
Um,
for a second you were going to say he did the classic cycling thing where he finishes in sixth place and starts high-fiving the crowd, thinking he's won the thing because there's people so far ahead. But
yeah.
uh, but no, yeah, I did see him get usurped by Alberto Gonzalez Garcia in the death.
It's it's also interesting to me that we saw Alexia make his return to short course racing to Super League, Super Tri a couple of weeks ago, and he won the thing. I think that company with this crazy 5K the other day, I probably expected him to come back in and do very, very well. I mean, what was he? He was ninth, so it's not like he's bad. But yeah, I think that was a bit of a surprise for me. And then talking about Hayden doing the double, we spoke earlier about how he was, what was he, 10 seconds down, 15 seconds down in the swim. You want to talk about the difference between short course and long course. Hayden's swim was 50th fastest in the WTCS. He swam a 10:01. He was a minute behind Hauser, or 50, what are we talking, 56 seconds behind in a swim that was a third of the distance, less than or more than a third. Like it shows just how fucking good these short course guys are, especially in the water. And obviously, I know it's not a direct correlation, but I think it just does give that perspective to understand. No, these short course guys, really. And I mean, I'm assuming that this course must have been a little bit short because it has Matty Hauser with a 13:36 5K. I don't think he's probably running 13:36 off the bike. I mean, he did, but I don't think that's probably a legit 5,000 meters. But Vasco 4 seconds back. They basically swam and they're in fact, the difference between their run splits is the difference at the finish line. So he really did win it on the run. Um, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, really good,
Do
really
you have
good.
the overall standings before I move on so I don't get caught out again?
WTCS overall standings, which is race five. Matthew Hauser is leading with 3,000 points ahead of Vasco Velasquez on 2,775 points, ahead of Miguel Hidalgo on 2,7711.26 points, ahead of Dorian Connix, who's 1,982.12.
Thank you for the
What is it with
points.
the point? I, what is it with the point something points? Why is that a thing?
Because some person who works at World Triathlon said, you know what, this isn't complicated enough. We need to make it more complicated. Let's put in decimal points.
Let's put in decimal points. Yeah. When you're dealing with over 2,000 points, why do you need a decimal?
It's a it's a great question. I mean,
It's a
the
great
it's a
question.
great question. Why are they in the thousands? Like T100 is like 35 points, 30,
Yeah.
25. But no, it has to be. I don't know. Is it just? I'm asking you, and I know you don't know the answer, but is it just for where you finish, or are there extra things for like swim prems and stuff like that? A bit more like super try, or yeah, I don't know. It
Yeah.
is it is diabolical. Stop it. WTCS,
Stop it.
stop
Yeah.
it. We've
When
praised your
someone's
broadcast.
when someone's over 200 points ahead, you don't need a decimal.
I think what I was thinking of, sorry, what I meant to ask, is it based on their finish place, or is it like with the Pro Series where the time is what indicates the points? I think that's what I was wondering. Because then you could kind of understand the decimals because they don't go to seconds, they go to, point seconds or milliseconds. Then you could understand there being decimal points, but otherwise, just there's absolutely no place for it in triathlon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Women's race. I thought you were frozen then, by the way. You were staring so like I was like, is he frozen?
Oh, really? Oh, no, no. I just checked out, mate. I'd mentally checked out.
As soon as we start talking about decimal places, you're just like, I don't
Yeah.
give a fuck. Let's talk about the women's race. The women's race was exceptional. Women's race to me, that was my favorite race this weekend. I loved this race. It was brilliant. What happened, James?
Cassandre Beaugrand won it ahead of Jean Lahair, ahead of Leonie Perriot in third, ahead of Emma Lombardi in fourth, ahead of Beth Potter in fifth. I mean, that's a strong lineup for the top five. And Cassandre Beaugrand continuing to show why she's such a good athlete, but only finishing 5 seconds ahead of Jehan Lahair, who only finished 4 seconds ahead of Leonie Perriot, who only finished 10 seconds ahead of Emma Lombardi.
It's funny because you say those gaps and they do sound relatively small, but when you watch it live, like it was, when they broke Emma Lombardi, you're like, well, the gap's huge, and then you realize it's actually not that big. It's very, very, very close. Did you at any point think that Cassandra wasn't going to win, or did you think that she's just playing biding her time and will attack when it counts?
I think pre-Paris, there would have been elements of my brain that are thinking there's no way Cassandra's going to win this.
Hmm.
But I think post-Paris, I have this steadfast confidence in her ability to compartmentalize her race and be there when it matters. And watching her momentum post that gold medal win, you're just like, yeah, she's still there and she's got this.
I realized we should probably explain because some people probably haven't watched this race. Basically, there was a group on the bike. It came together, so it was one big bike pack. So the bike was basically neutralized. I probably expected to see Maya Kingma. I was expecting at some point Maya to take an absolute rip off the front, but it didn't eventuate. And then very quickly, there was three of them at the front, which was Cassandra, Emma Lombardi, and Gian Lahair. And with like it was a 3 lap course, and I think Gian attacked at the end of the first lap and then dropped Emma Lombardi, and then it was just Cassandra and Gian. And I will be honest, mate, there was a point where Gian put in a dig, and the gap probably got out to maybe 5 meters, and I thought, fucking hell, has she done? Like, has she actually done enough? And it was probably halfway around the last lap where that gap was getting a little bit big, and you saw Cassandra just like shut it down so quickly. She just went like, nope, bang, bang, bang. I'm like, oh no, no.
Yeah.
Cassandra's got
I
this
mean,
thing in
I
the
can't, I
bag.
mean, I wish Jean Lair had won it because I called her for the win. I said she was going to roll into this strong after Super Try. And I think you said, nah, she's not going to carry that form through to this, especially because of the travel, James. And I said, "No, I don't even know."
I
And
don't
I
think I
think I
said it
was,
specifically that way, but I said it might be a factor.
yeah, you didn't say it quite as condescendingly. You're right. Um,
Normally I do. Yeah, that is the rare occasion that I haven't been condescending.
um, but I mean, yeah, I'd have loved it if Johanna Hare had won this,
I
because
love
it meant
watching her
my,
race.
yeah, I do as well. I do. I think she's an amazing athlete,
Oh
and
man,
I
she
love
made it
seeing this stuff as
exciting.
well.
Like
She
this
really
race
does.
was exciting because of what Jean Leher did. Like she really just took it, just grabbed it by the throat and went, you know what, if you're gonna beat, like, I'm not gonna let you beat me. You're gonna have to actually beat me.
And you know what
But
I like as well, because I mean, I've got this affinity for France. I love France. I've spent a lot of
she
time there.
gave it
I've
up.
lived there. Hey,
That she gave up her citizenship. She's like, I don't want to be French anymore.
yeah, I love it a little bit because I mean, I've got this. I love France. I love the French, but you can take the piss out of the people that you're closest to, and yeah, she now races for Luxembourg, and that's France's loss here. I know that obviously Cassandra races for France, and she won the race, but she was up there and pushing Cassandra hard. Yeah, great work from Jean Leher,
It's
and
it's funny you say that because I'm using the T100 or the Pro PTO stats website to look at the results, and they've got a little French flag next to Jean Leher. So come on, guys. No, no, no.
I mean
She's from
French by
Luxembourg.
nationality, but by
She's dual
I think it's
citizen, I believe.
yeah. I mean she's just racing under Luxembourg for the WTCS, isn't she?
Yeah, but I think that's anyway. I don't know. Uh, Beth Potter. I did not realize she was leading the series when because she had number one. I'm like, why the hell has Beth Potter got number one? I don't even actually really remember her racing much this year, and she's just been very consistent, always quite high, but hasn't won one yet this year.
Yeah,
Wasn't
fifth place and only 6 seconds off Emma Lombardi. You know, there's um there's only 25 seconds covering the top five
that's
in this women's race.
that's short course, mate. Like it really is so tight that they say every second counts. It really really does. Any other things that are worth talking about? Summer Rappaport, first out of the water, went backwards on the bike and finished in 30th place and like quite far back. I was happy to see Taylor Spivey in seventh, not fourth, obviously, which is her standard place. But Taylor's been sort of a bit absent this year, so to see her, and she was with Beth Potter in that for a big chunk of time, it was, I guess, a really positive sign. But mate, I just think Cassandre Beaugrand is, unless she makes a mistake like she did in Chicago, she's unbeatable. Like she's just whatever has all those pieces of fall into place, and she has just worked it out. Whatever those mental challenges I used to say that I've sort of worried about, they're gone. And any race that she is there or thereabouts, I just don't see her being beaten at the moment. And it's funny because I've criticized that in men's racing. Yet for some reason, when it's with the women's, like, because even though she wins, it's not like she just runs away with it. It's still like, this is a perfect example of that, right? Where, Jean, who I probably didn't think was going to, but genuine, I was like, I think Jean could do this. Like, you get so caught up in the moment that it's really exciting. And then Cassandra does the thing that she's going to do. And it's like, okay, there we go. It happened. But
Yeah, yeah. So off the back of this race, Cassandra Beaugrand is leading the series with 2,925 points. Leono Pereiro is in second with 2,587.72. Jean Lahair is in third with 2,551.40. And Beth Potter is now in fourth with 2,512.72 points.
yeah, good stuff. I loved it. Honestly, if you haven't watched already, go watch this race. I think, to be honest, watch all that Triathlon Live membership. It gets a lot of use in my household. So it
Yeah.
was good racing.
Yeah, yeah. Same. Same, same. Same, same. Many
Do
sames.
you,
All the manys.
we have one more race to touch on. We don't have a lot of time. I actually don't have a lot of stuff to say. So do you just want to give us the results from Zell Am See, and
Yeah,
then we
I'm
can
at
wrap it up?
70.3 Zell MC on the pro side. Pro women's side. Kat Matthews won it in 408.50 with Lisa Petier in 412.36. On the pro men's side, Fabian Kraft won it in 344.31 ahead of Gregor Payat from France in 347.14.
I want to shout out Steph Clutterbuck, who I know was injured and made her return to racing, which I was very, very happy to see. Cat doing cat things. Expect her to probably win the Pro Series again this year.
I think the most interesting point about this race on the women's side was that Kat Matthews went into it with doubting her form a little bit, doubting how she was feeling, and took her power meter off the bike so that she wouldn't be seeing
Really?
negative. She didn't want to upset herself by seeing numbers she wasn't expecting to see. So she completely removed her power meter and just went out and raced on feel. And I really quite like that as an approach when you're not feeling it, because we've all been there. We've all gone for that run or that bike where we're like not seeing the pace we expect and our heart rate's up where it shouldn't be, and the numbers aren't coming, and then it upsets you even more. So yeah, fair play. I
Well,
like that.
well, what I'm looking forward to is because what people don't realize a lot actually is much like Lionel Sanders likes to follow what the Norwegians do. James really loves to follow what Cat Matthews does. So I expect that we're going to start seeing Jimbo go out for rides in a power meter, no nothing, just riding naked,
Yeah,
just
well,
out
I
there.
mean, the broadcast team made an absolute meal of this, as you can imagine. Rather than just mentioning it once, it became,
Oh God.
they're probably still talking about it. Um, I have only ever ridden with a power meter once or twice. I got a bike with a power meter many years
Oh, so
ago.
Cat was actually copying you. Okay.
She's copying me, yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
I remember getting this power meter and thinking, oh, I finally got a power meter. It's going to make all the difference. And then I used it a couple of times. It ran out of battery. I never charged it again, and just realized I didn't give a fuck about my power numbers. And I'm a child of the 90s.
I mean the 80s, but yeah.
Well, a child of the 80s, grew up in the 90s.
Same as me. No,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. This is a race I'd love to go do one day. Every time I see it, it looks so beautiful. Uh, it was a weaker pro. Like I'm surprised that it was quite a weak field. I guess it's probably just that we're getting so close to world champs, especially with Nice. Like what are we talking? 11 days away at time of recording,
Yeah,
less
we're
than a
rolling
week.
into Nice hard now, aren't we?
Yeah, and as I said, Martin Van Riel is racing, which would be good.
We
I'm
will
not.
do a full preview of Nice ASAP.
I'm not feeling the excitement for it that much, to be honest. Like I don't know
You're going
why.
to be there?
Yeah, I'll be in Nice. Um, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure it'll build next week. I actually have to work that out because I'm on the road next week. Jimbo, thank you very much. If people want to find out more about Talking Triathlon, where do they need to go?
Yeah, if you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at T414 on Instagram, and I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. We are at Talking Triathlon on Instagram. And if you join the Patreon group, you get access to the monthly bonus episode and the social group, and we'll put you in the WhatsApp group, which has been a source of never-ending entertainment for me. I appreciated Sean Green's little attempt at using AI in the group
It's good,
last
wasn't
night.
it?
It
It
was
was.
good, but he didn't get the double discs. I mean, that was the whole point, was the double discs. But there you go. If you want to
I
find
thought
out
he
what
was
I'm
going for
talking
the
about,
screaming face, to be honest. That's what I thought he was going for. But
yeah, I
uh,
mean, it's great. I mean, it's all part of the package, isn't it? But the double discs was the backbone of that comment. If you're not a member of the Patreon group and you don't want to know what we're talking about, then leave a comment on YouTube, and we are more than likely to see it and respond.
and I also want to give a shout out to Lizzo Beach for her lovely comment on YouTube last week. So thank you very much.
Oh yeah, that was really kind.
Yeah, it was very kind. So thank you. Yeah, actually meant a lot. So thank you so much. And thank you everybody else who gave us your thoughts. Some people making wild calls and stuff. And much like myself, it doesn't always work out, but don't worry, we won't belittle you for that. But Jimbo, a pleasure as always, guys. Thanks for listening. Yeah, next week we will preview IMM Champs. And until then, talk to you later.
Cheerio.